Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for another Chelsea preview, or shall I say, another video of us hoping and praying and crying for us to score a goal. So, that's fun. It's March now. We scored one whole goal in February. Isn't it amazing? Graham Potter's still in charge. God knows for how long. Maybe until tomorrow. Maybe until after Dortmund, and then no one cares anymore. But how stupid would he be if they sacked him after tomorrow before Dortmund? Then why the flip wouldn't you have sacked him this whole week? But anyway, it's not fun at the moment for Chelsea. Drinking my coffee out of this one. Ferrari hat on. Nothing's going well. Nothing's going well. And we just have to hope and pray. And on top of that, we're back to being injury AFC. We're injury AFC all of January. Then we were fine for a little bit, even though no one was back to full fitness. And now we're back to everybody being injured. So, as if things weren't great enough already, and as if we couldn't even win games with our best team, well, we don't have a best team now. So that is flipping brilliant, isn't it? Pice, thank you for being back on. I appreciate it as always. We'll get into the news about the board split, about this basically being a final according to Fabrizio Romano, and all the team news as well. But now that it's kind of been a week since we were sat here again and talking about how Potter now needs to go after this Spurs defeat, he didn't go. So now what do we think? What position are you in now? Because we were all very adamant that he needs to go after the last game. But are you in the same boat as me where it's like, well, even if we lose tomorrow, like, who are we going to put in charge for Dortmund? Like, it's 3 days later. It's not like we have a Steve Holland type assistant who's like almost separate from the Potter staff entity, if you will. So even if you got rid of Potter, whoever's assistant you would put in charge would be Potter's assistant anyway, or someone that would have no time to get to know anybody, really. So at this point, in my opinion, we're kind of stuck with Potter until at least after Dortmund. Would you agree with that? Or even though Fabrizio says this is kind of a final, like, even as much as we want Potter out, do you see any logic in getting rid of him? And I don't want to talk into existence that we're going to have a bad result again tomorrow, but I tell you what, you have to be as realistic and talk about it, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, Thiago Silva's injured, so perhaps he could be the manager on Tuesday. I mean, we'd probably show a bit more fight with him as the manager, but yeah, no, I don't really know, to be honest. What is going to happen? I think what is certain is that the pressure is certainly rampant. The stories are certainly coming out more frequently. I think there was a kind of like an exclusive article from the Mail earlier where Sami Mokbel was saying, similar to what I've been saying the last week or so in terms of like the Chelsea dressing room have got some doubts over him, and also the board are split. Potter's in a fight to kind of convince some certain members of the board to kind of convince him he's the right guy. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, a win tomorrow. It's a difficult one, right? Because what I don't understand is, like, say we lose tomorrow, but then beat Dortmund. Like, is that just Champions League tax? Is that like, is the league form still acceptable? Does he still go then? Like, or if we win tomorrow and then like lose against Dortmund, do you stick it out for the league with him? Like, it's all very confusing to me. Like, what is? I just like, even though Fabrizio says it's like a final, so is he saying like, no matter what happens against Dortmund, like the decision day's tomorrow or something? I don't really know. Like, it's very confusing.
Well, I would assume if tomorrow is the final, the background has changed because Lewis has turned up. I will change the background and add Lewis. I will let Pice finish his sentence. Hello, Lewis. Cheers for coming on, mate. Appreciate it. What was I saying? Sorry, Pice. You were going on. Even if Fabrizio calls it a final tomorrow, can you assume that if it's a final, it doesn't go well, that Potter will still be here by Dortmund? Because that would kind of... Well, obviously, Fabrizio's main language isn't English, so maybe there's a little bit of a, not translation issue, but language issue where it's like, oh, this is a final, but does he still include Dortmund? I don't know.
I don't. He said it was a crucial game tomorrow. I'm just a bit confusing, to be honest, because like as you said, I think the time to sack him was after last week, because then the new manager would have a whole week to train, or at least some of the week by the time he was appointed, and then you have Dortmund after. Whereas if you sack Potter after Leeds or keep him for Dortmund and we lose against Dortmund and get knocked out, then like where do you go from there? Like, it's kind of, I find that a bit stupid. But again, what did we learn? I think they sacked Tuchel at a stupid time. They should have sacked him in pre-season. So they've done this before, to be honest.
True.
So
I mean, one would hope they would have learned from that mistake in hindsight, but we don't know, do we? We don't know. Big up, Lewis. Thank you for joining. On that note as well, big up to everyone that joined from Lewis's stream. Shout out to all of you guys.
Big up the gang. Big up.
Exactly. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button if you are new here. Lewis, cheers for coming on. Like I've said for about the third time now. Mate, my head is all over the shop. We scored 1 goal in fucking February. How can my head not be all over the shop? What you feeling? My question to Pice was, we all agree kind of that we should have sacked him the latest after Spurs. Most of us agreed we should have sacked him after Southampton. But now we haven't. So now, do we just have to ride out the next 2 and just see what happens? Or do you genuinely believe there is a chance he could get sacked between tomorrow and Dortmund?
I'm going to try and look at it from the club's perspective and say, maybe they haven't sacked him yet because they haven't got a replacement lined up. And if that's the case, fair enough. But that's me going against my better judgment. I just think as well, Boehly doesn't really want to end it so soon because he looks terrible in that remark because he sacked Tuchel for this guy and it clearly hasn't worked. But even though we're hearing reports of how Chelsea could be taking a step back to square one if they sack Potter, it's well, what's the other alternative? I understand the point that Boehly's trying to make. You go back to stage 1 of a new rebuild, but what's the other alternative? We just keep losing? Because we look more and more like we're setting up for a relegation scrap as the weeks go on. There's no progress. We look like we've gone backwards in spite of the fact we spent 500 million. The game management's terrible. Potter gives you no motivation. We have 1 week in between games. Instead of focusing on the team's improvement, we're taking days off. I don't get it. I don't get why
we have our team ends up injured after training. How's that a thing? We give them half the week off anyway, and now we still sit here with half the team injured from training. How's that?
I don't get it. That's something to do with the medical team or what we do in training. I don't know, but everything about the club looks like a mess from top to bottom. I think the reset button should have already been pressed. I'm with you guys with the fact that Southampton in itself was a sackable offence. Just the whole lineup, the whole setup, game management, everything. That was a sackable offence in itself. The fact he lasted to Tottenham makes no sense. I don't get why we're doing this whole 2 games is vital BS, because why are we throwing ourselves out of the only realistic competition that we have a chance of winning just to then sack him afterwards? Just
realistic is a far stretch when we score 1
I know,
goal.
but even then it's that's the only competition that we're even still in. We're not going to make top 4. We're definitely not winning the league. So why don't we just sack him now? I don't get it, because we're now in a position where fans want us to lose. Fans are putting Leeds Avies on Twitter and everything. And by the way, it's Leeds as well, which shows how deep we're going, that we're supporting a rival.
It also shows how little a lot of these newer fans know about the history of the club.
Yeah, but it's I get what they're saying, but I'll never want my team to lose. No, but if we're now at the point where you're saying it's 2 games for Potter to be sacked, fans are now going to say, I'd rather us drop those 2 games so we could drop Potter. Because if Potter gets a fluke win against there and he stays for a month and then we lose every other game after that, we're worse off. That's the situation that the ownership's put us in, as much as I hate to say it. Just have the balls and just sack him. We'd back you even more for admitting your mistake. We won't look at you and think oh, Boehly's clueless or anything like that. No,
depends on who they got in instead of it.
I genuinely couldn't care who they bring in. Somebody you could bring in Big Sam for all I care. He'll set up a defensive team and we'll get to 40 points.
Bro, we already have the second best defense in the league. The defense ain't the problem here.
Have we?
Yeah, with second least amount of goals conceded in the whole Premier League. I don't know how it's
defense, I believe, or something like that. I think Newcastle have the best defense.
Yeah, exactly. With the least amount of goals conceded at home from any team. We only
you know why that is as well, though?
Confusing team in football.
You know why that is? You know what's funny is that Badiashile was a big reason of us keeping 3 clean sheets. And then against Spurs, he drops him, puts him on the bench.
No, absolutely.
Literally. Fofana has a great 45 minutes against Southampton, don't even make the squad. And Aubameyang coming on only says to me that he could have played a lot more. So why have we persisted with Havertz up top the whole time?
You and me, Lewis, we've had our disagreements over how much we should use Aubameyang or not. But I completely agree with what you just said, because I was like, okay, I accept it. If he's not in your plans, it is what it is. Leave him out. It is what it is. We wanted to get rid of him in January. We couldn't to most clubs. We wanted to let him go to LA. He didn't want that. Okay, it is what it is. Not ideal for anybody, but it is what it is. But the fact that he then was included against Spurs, I'm like, yeah, but then why didn't you? Might as well have used him until now, at least on the bench. Again, don't start him if you don't want to. But you might.
He makes absolutely no, and that's why it's impossible to back him. Yeah. You can't figure this guy out. He's just brain dead.
And like in the league, at least we can use Dacho Fofana, right? But in the Premier League, we can't even use him. So in the Premier League, because in the Champions League, and in the Champions League, because we left Aubameyang out of the squad, we just don't even have any strikers other than Havertz, if you want to call him a striker. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a whole shambles. It's a whole shambles. Starmesh, I'll finally come to you. Thank you for coming on as well, bro. Appreciate it, as always, mate. Somewhat different question, because we discussed in terms of we should have sacked him. We all agree with that. And Lewis just said he doesn't really care who comes in. Anything's going to be better than Potter. My problem with this at the moment is I, right now, as a fan, don't have the energy to, like, if we replace Potter with some new project manager, like some guy who none of us have basically ever heard of from like Portugal or some random Donny from somewhere, which, like, if we weren't Premier League fans, some random La Liga fan would have never heard of Graham Potter before we appointed him. So, like, you know, appointing someone like that from a different league, at the moment, I don't have the energy to get into supporting that. Not because I don't want to support the club, but because if you want to back a project like that, and it's a project style manager, I need to, like, read up on the manager and get to know how's he going to do it, what's he going to do. And I just don't have the energy for that, because we tried that now. So far, it didn't work. I mean, we haven't sacked Potter, so, like, who knows? But, like, at this point, I'm just like, just give me vibes. Give me Jose and give me vibes, man. But not because I actually think that works, right? Before people twist my words and think I've lost the plot. No, but it's just like, I don't care. Just give me Jose and let's have a bit of fun for the next 12, 13 months before something kicks off again. Do you know what I mean? But what's your perspective on this? We all agree Potter needs to go, whether it happens after tomorrow, whether it happens after Dortmund. I guess if we win both, and we say we win both games 3-0, we're probably going to be like, okay, well, let's see how it continues now. But it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen like that. But are you like me, where it's like, do you have the energy if we got some random Portuguese manager and we're like, let's have a new project? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Firstly, big up Laurenz. Thanks for having me on again. Big up the chat as well. Yeah, it's a weird one, man, because, like, I'm just going through sort of the managers that we've sort of hired since maybe Carlo Ancelotti. So since then, we've had Villas-Boas, who was young and upcoming. Obviously, Di Matteo came straight after that. Then who was after that? I believe it was it Rafa after that? Benitez, I think. Yeah. Rafa, Jose, Sarri, Kante, Jose again, then Tuchel. So, and obviously Frank Lampard as well. So out of those list of managers, we've had sort of the serial winners in a way. And with the managers that we sort of brought in for processes haven't worked out, if we're being real. Frank Lampard didn't work out in the end. Villas-Boas, we all know how that worked out. It didn't work out at all. And now with Graham Potter. So I think it's one of those where, how you mentioned about the sort of like hiring some random Portuguese manager, I think we're all a bit skeptical now of these young up-and-coming managers. Say if it was to be that kind of manager next time around. So I'll just throw an example out there. Say if we potentially go for Thomas Frank, for example, I think most of us will be a bit hesitant now. Whereas I think last year, or in September when Tuchel got sacked, I think we would have all jumped to the idea of getting Thomas Frank in because of the way he plays football, what he's done for Brentford, how he's vitalized them, and also how he's got them playing fluid football and scoring goals and keeping clean sheets. But I think most of us are scarred now of like a process manager where we want like a serial winner to come in now, which is understandable. But at the same time, us as fans as well have called for sort of like a long-term project, i.e. like what Jurgen Klopp's done at Liverpool, what Pep Guardiola's done at Manchester City. Less so Arsenal, because let's be real, like who cares about Arsenal anyway? But they've been like a good season, that's fair enough. But the past like 19, 20 years, they haven't acted like a big club. So I won't bring them as an example. But yeah, the manager situation is just weird because well, I'm not saying if, it definitely will happen. Graham Potter will eventually get sacked by Chelsea, and us as fans want that, majority of them anyway. Do we bring in Jose Mourinho on a short-term contract? I personally wouldn't mind that in a way, in my opinion. But I think we have to think long term, and who out there is long term. I know there's one name you mentioned, which is obviously Hansi Flick, which definitely won't happen for sure. But that is the kind of manager that I'd probably want.
But he's never even done anything long term. We don't even know if he's good at that. The longest he's been in the job was 2 seasons.
Yeah, but then again, like, look what he's done to Bayern Munich. Like, before he came in, Bayern Munich were in the shambles before Hansi Flick came in. And he won, what, was it 6 or 7 trophies in one season he won? I think he won everything in Germany, the Champions League, the Super Cup, the Club World Cup as well. And look what he's done to players like Musiala and like Choupo-Moting as well. Like, these are players that didn't really have a sort of footballing career until Hansi Flick came in. So, yeah, the manager situation, man, it's just strange at the moment, man. But I definitely echo all your thoughts, Lewis and Pies, and yourself, Laurenz, about just the manager situation in general. Like, with 2 games, what does 2 games mean? Like, say if we lose tomorrow, we beat sort of Dortmund, then what the hell happens? Like, does he stay? Does he go, or what? I think for the perspective of like, I think the owners are probably looking at the Champions League mostly just because of the money and the revenue that can possibly come into the club for next month and the future. I think that's their sort of like target that they're looking at. They're like, okay, Dortmund is basically now or never for Dortmund. Like, if we lose, we lose. If we win, we win. Like, we either keep Potter based on the Champions League. So I actually feel if we lose tomorrow and we win against Dortmund, like, unfortunately, I think he stays just based on that. But I think if we win tomorrow and lose against Dortmund, I think he'll get sacked. Just purely the point I based it up on the fact that I think the Champions League, in their opinion, is more important. And
obviously, because there's something to play for, right? I mean, I'm sure if we were in the title race, obviously, if we were in a title race, we wouldn't be considering sacking the manager anyway. But if we were in the title race, or even a top 4 race, a serious one, we would potentially prioritize that more, just because we back ourselves in achieving that more than potentially winning the Premier League. But Pies, let me take it to you before I open, bring up some tweets and stuff in terms of the ball being split. Similar question to what I just put to Dharmesh in terms of the managerial situation. I mean, someone in the chat here, where was it? Where has it gone? Someone said something about Amorim. Well, I lost it again. So he said, anyway, Amorim won sport in the league and everything for the first time in 30 years. Our CFC Ali said it. That's all well and good, but I mean, Villas-Boas won all sorts of things with Porto. That didn't mean it works out. I mean, like, that's why I don't know, because like I said, just give me Jose on the one hand. On the other hand, I'm like, clearly what the ownership is trying to do is, didn't work with Potter, but they're still trying to have a process of bringing us back to winning things all the time as soon as possible. If we then get a manager that we know from the start isn't going to be anything longer than a year and a half, maybe 2, is that even worth it? As much as, for the nostalgia and the vibes, it would be fun. I don't know. At the same time, like, if you don't have the types of managers available that you'd like, I don't know. I mean, Enrique is available. So, like, but the fact that we still haven't been in touch or anything tells me we don't really want Enrique. And that makes me even more concerned again about what kind of manager we would replace Potter with, if I'm honest. And not concerned in the sense of that I don't think they're going to be any good, but that I don't think they're going to be a type of manager that's going to make the instant changes that we all hope for and expect in terms of being a regular winner, being used to the kind of pressures at this kind of big club, being used to, dealing with big squads, used to dealing with egos and stuff like that. That's what has me worried. Like, and as much as I want Potter out now, and I am firmly Potter out now compared to a couple of weeks ago, the concern I have with who we'd replace him with is still there. And yes, we can all say, anything would be better, sure, but better still isn't good enough. Just because we're super bad now, a little bit better than that, yeah, it would be better, but it still wouldn't be good enough. So, like, okay, if we now replaced Potter and then instead of 1 goal a month, we scored 5, well, yeah, it's better, but it's still not good enough, that is it? So it's
we'll still end up 10th, bro. Like, literally, if we win, we don't even move from 10th, and it's like we have to rely on teams like
you have
Brighton,
to win
Brentford.
To stay 10th.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, there's that as well, obviously. But then we level on points with Villa, I believe, as well. So they played, I think, Palace over the weekend. So if they win and we don't get a result tomorrow, then we drop down to the bottom half of the table. So exactly. Yeah.
But does it matter? Do I give a shit if we're 10th or 11th? Not really, if I'm being perfectly honest. But you know, it is what it is. But Pice,
I just want us to get to 40 points. That's all. We can't even do that.
Mate, to be honest, with how the season's going, I don't even think you need 40 points to stay up, but you know, we'll see. But yeah, I'll get to Calidrox's super chat. I'll read it out in a minute, but appreciate it. But Pice, what are your thoughts on that managerial situation here?
I think you're perfectly spot on, to be fair. I have the same worries. I want Potter to go, but you know, even if you replaced him with someone like an Enrique or Hansi Flick, it may be good for, you know, potentially up to a year, but there's no guarantee that, you know, middle of next season, we might be going, oh, well, you know, he started really well, but now it's not good enough. So, you know, you have the right concerns. I think we should all have these concerns. I think, as you said, it may get better if we sack him, but how long do these managers last? And it's one of the reasons why I was excited so much by Graham Potter, was because I was like, finally, we're going to have a guy that we may not be, you know, we may not be fighting for the title for 2 years, but we're going to be seeing progression. We're going to be seeing players developed. We're going to be seeing young players. And we've got the ownership to back him. As it's turned out, you know, the ownership have backed him, but he's just done an absolutely horrendous job. I don't think anyone would have thought for a second he would have done this bad. And if you really deep like the statistics, like some of the stuff, how like in terms of our goals scored, like Fred, the Manchester United midfielder, has scored like the same amount of goals as we have in like the last 2 months. Like Rashford scored like 3 times the amount of goals Chelsea have in the last like 3 months. It's ridiculous.
Manan's probably scored 3 times as many goals as Chelsea have.
But like my concerns are there even if we do sack him. I don't know who we're going to get in. One cheeky plug I will put out, because I'm not the best on, you know, the managerial situation and going in depth in everyone, but have released an article on my website. Expert, as we all know, he's gone really deep dive from his 5th favourite one to the 1st favourite, and he's also given candidates that he'd rule out. And I think it's important to stress, and I agree with this as well, is that I think, you know, I mean, I do have sentiment in me. Like Mourinho coming back would be hilarious. Like everyone would love that. But is that really the right path to go down? Like in a year's time, are we going to be going, you know, Mourinho's, like, as much as we love his antics, like look what happened. Looks what happened to the young players now. Like they've not developed at all. Like, you know, is he really that top manager anymore? Like, I don't know. They lost to like Cremonense on the weekend, who haven't won a game all season in Italy. So
and got red carded, didn't he? As well?
And he got red carded. So I mean, as much as I love the drama, we still have to, like, if we do sack him, we need to find someone that is like a really good manager, but also a really good fit. And I don't know if that actually exists, which is scary.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just opened up your article because I didn't want to just ask you to like, okay, name that one. But I'm going to bring it up on screen for a second so we can quickly talk through it as I ask Lewis about it. But yeah, Calidrox, appreciate the donation. Like I said, he says, Potter out, protest banner at the bridge, W more L's. Can you see DT anywhere? Bro, we're not doing banners, right? Let's have a little bit of shame, okay? I know Arsenal did that, and I know it made them famous more than any of their trophies that they won, but hold your horses, all right? We're not doing banners for a man.
The only banners we do is Mason Mount banners.
Yeah, exactly that one. Very good. But Lewis, what is your thoughts on the managerial situation? Like, do you have one where you're like, yeah, I want him, or do you sit in the same boat as myself and Pice a little bit, and Dharmesh, I guess, in terms of just being concerned, as much as you say, okay, anything would be better, but just better isn't enough, is it?
Right now, like, I haven't really thought too much about a long-term manager because I genuinely just want a manager that will save me from being worried about the relegation scrap. Genuinely, get me anyone short-term who will get me my 40 points, and I don't care about the rest of this season. Like, I'm going to have a look at this article, by the way, when the stream's done, because I haven't actually thought about long-term options. So I think it would actually help me out a little bit too, but genuinely, like, I don't care who we bring in. Just get Graham Potter out because this guy is not going to take us anywhere forward. Even any other manager will get us a nice little bounce, we'll get 9 points, and we'll be good. And that's all I want.
My God, how far have we fallen that we want 9 points to get
trenches, bro?
Where the hell do we get 9 points from? Let's be real. Like,
bro, I've looked through the fixture list about 15 times. Hell, that's even a good topic for you if you ever want to do that for a future stream and Potter's still in charge. Go through the fixture list and get yourself and all the panelists to try and figure out where we get points. I am scraping 38. And we're on 31.
Maybe Forest at home. Maybe that's
Bro,
probably the
I
only.
had to have
I
like
don't
two
know.
of my mates persuade me that we'd even win that game.
Bro, that Steve Cooper deep block might hit different, you know.
That's true. Yeah, and Bournemouth away, we always struggle against Bournemouth, don't we?
If
Like,
we
Bournemouth away
keep
is just
scoring as
cursed.
little as we do, we're not beating anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's be serious. It doesn't fucking matter. You just
It's
score
all
one
about
goal
where
a
you
month.
see
We're going to get a
draws.
couple of 0-0 draws, and that's it.
Can we just beat Arsenal though? Can we just like stop their title
Yes.
charge? 100%.
Yes,
Like,
please.
I mean, just call Georgie and ask him to score an own goal. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I'm not going to go through here, eliminate the candidates. I'm not going to, like, if you want to read all about it, obviously, check it out. I put the link to it in the chat. But otherwise, just check out ChelseaC365.com. Link is down in the description. You will find it. But I scrolled down and I saw that number 5 was Niko Kovac. And when I saw that, I wanted to throw Alex Barker straight in the bin. What are you talking about? Niko Kovac. Get to the bin. His weird Ligue 1 fetish needs to stop. It needs to stop immediately. Like, I love Alex, yeah, you're right, I love him. But Niko Kovac is an absolute no chance. Like, absolutely no chance. Should we get anywhere near that guy? My God. But yeah, he mentions Ruben Amorim, of course. Mauricio Pochettino, the fact that he mentions that as well. Again, Alex, get in the bin. Stop talking about Pochettino.
This is in, so 5-1 is his preferred. So this is.
No, I know. I'm aware. Then we've got obviously Hansi Flick. People know my opinion on this. You're not getting him until after the Euros, if anything. And even then, I'm not sure. The guy resigned from Bayern Munich after 18 months and then finished the season off. If you can't even hack Bayern for more than 18 months, mate, within 3 months of being at Chelsea, you're going to suffer from severe depression and want to kill yourself. So, like, I don't think he can act Chelsea, quite frankly. But that's a different topic. And Luis Enrique, well, he says it. If you want to read all the details, check out the article yourself. We don't have time to go through all of it. But yeah, in terms of available managers, would Enrique be my first pick? Maybe. Maybe he has a bit of an aura about him. Chelsea fans love that word nowadays. He's won things. You know, he knows what it means to win titles, to win leagues, to win Champions Leagues. But my guy also went through a World Cup and barely shot on target. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, remember a few weeks ago when Chelsea complaining about that one? Get ready for that one if we get Luis Enrique in. So it's a tough one.
Laurenz, I'm going to send you something I've seen. I don't know if you want to pull it up or not, but I'm going to send that to you anyway.
Do you want to pull it up yourself or do you want me to pull it up?
Yeah, can do. It's apparently Footy Insider 24/7 saying Potter's going to experiment with a 3-4-3 formation at Chelsea for the next game.
Which is great because Reece James is unavailable, basically. So fantastic.
Wait, it says Reece James and Chilwell to be handed more attacking freedom.
Yeah, I mean, unless he's trying to bait Leeds into, Reece James is a doubt, but he's going to start anyway. I mean, we'll talk about that.
Outside the box from Potter. That's a first.
Exactly. We'll talk about that formation thing later for sure because it's an interesting topic right now. Let me quickly bring up the whole the board is split situation again because that is a confusing one to me. It says here there are mixed feelings amongst the Chelsea squad over Potter, with concerns emerging about whether he has shown enough to force enough force of personality to hold the team's slide and stamp his mark on the club and dressing room. CFC board also split. So Bowley amongst those who believe in a change in manager would set the team back, but that view is not universally shared. Insiders have suggested there is currently no interest in Luis Enrique, which is also why I got even more worried about who the flip are we going to replace Potter with if we do, when we do. But Pies, I'll go to you. What do you think of this? I feel like months ago, at the very beginning, I can't remember if it was you or somebody else, but I feel like it was you that was talking about how having so many people on the board could become an issue like that, when that wasn't really an issue in the old era because we had Roman and I suppose Marina as a combination, if not just Marina, and then getting it signed off by Roman, making those kind of decisions. And now we have a split board. Not ideal. And I remember saying at the time, well, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue because, well, the whole idea is to be aligned and we appointed people that have aligned opinions. Obviously, part of the problem is now that we have to be aligned on Potter. And a lot of the people that are involved with this are Potter people, you know, like Carl McCauley and some other guy whose name I can't think of right now. But there's people that have come along with Potter. Are they really going to turn against Potter? And if Bowley is the one that's unsure, that poses the question to me, who wants him out? Like Barley? Vivell? Who else does? With Stanley, maybe? What do you make of this split board situation? I mean, to some extent, I'm like, okay. I understand if there's 5, say, people, they can't all have the same opinion at the very same time. You know, everyone's going to have different outlook at things. But it's not an ideal situation, right?
Yeah, no, I remember speaking a few months ago on my podcast with Ben Jacobs, when Chelsea started appointing all these people, or like, at least lining them up for the future, because not all of them started straight away. And this was a few months ago. And I said to him, like, this is one of my concerns. There's so many people, like, how are they going to come to a definite conclusion? Is it just going to be Bowley and Igbali? They decide, or like, what's it going to go down to? And he literally said, like, a lot of cases where clubs have big hierarchies. He mentioned Liverpool. I don't know if they still do, but they used to have like a big sort of similar to us. And he said it used to just go down to majority votes on huge decisions. Like they would literally just vote.
That's good though. I don't mind the majority decision. So if you have an uneven number on the board, at least you can get shit done. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You mentioned obviously Paul and Stanley has come over. Laurenz Stewart as well. We don't know much about him, but he came from Monaco. English as well. We've got Vivel, who I was told he's one of the ones that is unsure. And he also like played a really big part in quite a few managerial sackings supposedly at Leipzig as well. So I thought that was interesting when I was told that. But another one who is Joe Shields. I think he's still, again more in the like the scouting department, but still, he's up there in the hierarchy. So there's a lot of people that could be split. I mean, we don't really know about Igbali, but I don't know why. I always picked up on this when Igbali had like a press conference. I can't remember what it was. He was sitting down with like AC Milano, and it was in America a few weeks ago. And he was talking about like Graham Potter, and he didn't even say Potter's name. He said like, yeah, we hired a manager from Brighton, and I was just like, if that was Bowley, Todd Bowley would be like, he would make sure to mention Graham Potter's name. I just found that quite interesting. So, I mean, who knows? But what I have been told is Vivel is one of them that is definitely unsure. And I think what is the problem here is that like these guys like Vivel and Win Stanley and Stewart, I don't even think they have the power to like sack him. They what they do have though is they have the power to like make the recommendation.
Yeah.
And if like they're split, then like how does that like what happens then? Like, you know what I mean? How do we get around this? Like, do they just hold one big meeting and then like fully decide or what? Like, it's a bit confusing, isn't it?
It's difficult. It's absolutely difficult. I mean, the whole Vivel thing. People know how much I despise everything to do with Red Bull. So I have my issues putting my trust in Christopher Vivel so far until he proves me wrong. And the whole Enzo Fernandez thing didn't exactly help because when he tried to get the deal down, well, we were laughed out the flipping shops down in Lisbon. And it took all the other board members turning back up in Lisbon to actually get it done on deadline day. So how much can I trust this Vivel, Donny? Especially looking at these Leipzig managers, every time we sacked them, I feel like they've gotten worse. Like, obviously, Nagelsmann is a different situation because Nagelsmann was kind of stolen from them by Bayern Munich, as Bayern do with their league, which is why they've won 12 in a row or whatever it is. Which, how fun is that? But I don't know, man. I'm genuinely at a point of where I just don't know anymore. I mean, Damesh, what are your thoughts on the board being split, apparently? Like, is that something that bothers you about having more people kind of with a valid opinion, with an important opinion, where back in the day it was kind of, well, Marina and Roman, and then maybe they asked Czech what he thought, but at the end of the day, it wasn't Czech making decisions.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one because I always feel like the more you sort of get people involved into something and the more ideas that are chucked into your head, the more confused you get. That's like, I'll give a prime example. It's just like with sort of like uni dissertation stuff that I'm currently doing right now. I've had so many ideas going to my head thrown by different people, and it's just like I get so confused and I don't know which one to like sort of pick in a way. So it's like if there were sort of less ideas, then it's a bit more sort of concrete, and you sort of like pick the decision that you want initially. So having more people on the board, if they're saying sack him, don't sack him, sack him, don't sack him, like you're gonna get confused, aren't you? Because if it's a complete split, then like it's literally 50-50. So like what would you do? Do you go with the sacking or the no sacking? But yeah, that's why I have a problem with having a lot of people on board. But at the same time, where, for example, getting deals across the line, like Enzo Fernandez, like you mentioned, like having that sort of team around actually really helped us get that across the line. So there's that
I
sort of
also,
positive
if
as
I
well.
can interrupt you for a second, I
No
also
worries,
think in general, having a board, having multiple people that know what they're talking about, and not just one person that might, I don't know, not have an agenda is the wrong word, but might be stuck on an opinion and then force that through, even if it's not always the right one. If you have enough people around it to discuss certain decisions, I think that is a positive. It's just when it's things like, do we sack a manager or do we not? When it's about which new manager do we potentially appoint? Like Pies, or was it Lewis that touched on it earlier? What if the reason they haven't sacked Potter yet is actually that they haven't yet decided on who to replace him with? Those kind of decisions where I guess timing and time, time in general is kind of the essence. I guess that's where it can be an issue, even though in general, I think on long-term situations, you're more likely to make good decisions if you have more people that know what they're talking about making a decision.
Yeah.
So it has its pros and cons, I would say.
Also, like, do you think it could be a case where some of the players are getting into the ear of some of these board members, do you think, or not really? Because we kind of seen that with sort of how Lampard was pushed out the door with, say, players like Kovacic and Rudiger reportedly unhappy, and then personally, like, going to, I can't remember who it was, they went to someone about it and discussed
there
it.
will be a lot of stuff that would have happened that is not yet released. 100%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like, it might come out that
Pice about this for a second. I mean, Pice, do you know, is any of the, obviously we know about Bowley and sometimes Egbali being a training, but do you know how much, maybe you don't know, the likes of like a Bibel, Paul Winstanley, Joe Shields, Carl McCauley, these guys, how much they are like involved with the team? Because what you touched on there with Lampard is a fair point, but obviously the players that then mentioned it to like Marina and stuff or whoever else, they would have been here for a while, and the people above would have been here for a while too. So they would have had a certain amount of relationship with each other. But all these other guys that they could be talking to now, they've not been here for very long. So I'm not sure if the players would have enough of a relationship with them to go to them and mention issues. That's where I'm not sure, but that's because I don't know how much these guys are involved with the team itself. So, Pies, I mean, do you know at all, or does it at least seems like it's only Bowley and maybe Egbali that turn up, but I guess.
No, I think Vivell, Stewart, and Winstanley are always there because the Athletic said that they have they got new offices at the training ground.
They're Cobham for sure, but in terms of there's different floors at Cobham. They don't all necessarily. People work in the same office or in the same office block. You don't necessarily see each other and talk to each other in like on a personal.
I would think. I mean, I know we had under Abramovich, we had like Czech as in that role of kind of being out and about, like being around Cobham, being that guy to be approachable for the players. But I would it's not like any info or anything, but I would imagine that they are accessible if they needed to, if someone needed to talk to them. But again, I don't think it would be the players personally. I feel like it would be like their agents or something like that, because they're more like
they take the heat. That's the whole job of it.
It wouldn't surprise me though if it was the players, like just generally, like we say with players that have been left out of squads and stuff. Like, are you like obviously like we probably don't know this.
But do you think the players want to, like, because obviously say like I don't know, Ziyech went to Winstanley. Winstanley
would have nothing to complain about. He's starting more than anybody else.
I'm just giving an example. Like say he went to Winstanley and then. Like Winstanley would have to feed back at that conversation with Bowley. Like, do you feel like any of these players want to like take the wrath of potentially? I know there's a lot of them that want to leave, but do you think they want to like face the wrath of Bowley and Egbali? Like,
I don't think any of the ones that want to stay will do that. If I'm honest, like, and the ones that want to leave, they don't really matter. If I'm honest, do you know what I mean? Like, if Ziyech has a problem with Potter, or if Aubameyang has a problem with Potter, it doesn't really matter. These guys aren't going to be here in the summer. So, like, they are not going to be the ones, their opinions aren't the ones that matter, I guess. But,
it could be players like, say, Mason Mount or Kai Havertz, for example. Like, maybe, I'm just giving out random names, to be fair. Like, obviously, Kai Havertz starts every game, undeservedly so. But, like,
well,
maybe
Mount
players
might not
like
be
Mason
here
Mount.
either. And Mount and Havertz might not be here either. They're definitely not guarantees to stay.
Yeah.
I mean, if we get Luis Enrique, Havertz is guaranteed to stay, I think. But, that's a different conversation for a different day if that ever becomes relevant. Let me quickly bring up a couple of more super chats before we get into this Kepa discussion. Lewis will be back in a second. He's just taken out his laundry. We have another super chat by Callie Drox. He says, can we get Will Still for manager? Swap Lauren James for Reece James and Sam Kerr for Kai Havertz. Sorted. I mean, I'm a fan of bringing Lauren James in. I mean, her technique is better than half of our men's squad. But I'm not sure if Reece James should be the one she's replacing. How about somebody else? Do you know what I mean? And Sam Kerr for Kai Havertz, yeah. Will Still would be fun for sure if we could get Will Still, but he doesn't even have the UEFA license done yet. He's only started it. I watched an interview of his, but I like him. I'm not. If people don't know who he is, he's the English guy that basically was a football manager, Donny, and now has become manager of I forget the club. But
Rhymes is called.
Is it Rhymes? It might be Rhymes. Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just say,
however you want to pronounce it, but.
Can I just say quickly? I just saw something. Moises Caicedo has extended his contract until 2027, which is interesting.
Oh,
see, I don't even want Caicedo anymore. If you go to post something like that on Instagram and then you end up signing a new contract, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? I gained a bit. But yeah, that is interesting to say the least. But yeah, I appreciate the super chat. Will be quite fun. But yeah, he's gonna have to pay like a fee of I think 15,000 euros or whatever every game he's in charge of because he doesn't have the UEFA license, which is quite funny. But they're doing well. They even got a draw at PSG, so can't blame them. Ken Berry with another super chat. Appreciate it, mate. He says we keep losing and their position will flip. Simple as. True, but that's the whole conversation. That's the whole thing, right? Isn't it too late after Dortmund? Like after Dortmund, does it matter? After Dortmund, might you not as well leave Potter in charge until the summer and make sure you get the perfect replacement in by then, rather than rushing a replacement? Because for the summer, your options get bigger because in the summer it's always much easier to convince a club to let their manager go. While now it's definitely going to be easier to get someone who's unemployed right now, like a Luis Enrique as an example, or Pochettino, I suppose. Yeah, so that's that position. Just quickly, De Zerbi, by the way, obviously the new Brighton manager, even if he's good, no matter how good he is, no matter how good he may become, we cannot get him. Like, we will be the biggest laughingstock potentially in history of football. We cannot do that. Like, I'm sorry. We cannot do that.
We should have got him before he went to Brighton, to be honest. If we really actually wanted him, then we should have.
I mean, he might get more out of Mudryk, to be fair to him. He thinks Mudryk is going to win the Ballon d'Or, but, that's a whole separate issue. But, yeah, no, we cannot get De Zerbi. But anyways, what you can see up on screen before we get into more news about talk about team news and the game for tomorrow. Chelsea are currently planning to prioritize a backup goalkeeper in the summer, as Kepa Arrizabalaga is deemed to have performed sufficiently as the number one. And below, as you can see, it says Eduard Mendy has turned down a number of incentivized new contract offers. Lewis is back. I know you spoke about this on your channel, but what do you make of this? By some people, they backed it. Some people tried to absolutely scrutinize me for when I tweeted last night. I think makes sense because I personally don't see the likes of Raya and Sanchez and Diogo Costa and Korbel, and I don't see these guys as being particularly better than Kepa. Maybe a tad on some of them, but I don't think it's gonna make a difference. So it's a whole, we're never gonna win the title with Kepa. I don't think we're going to win a title with any of those guys either. So, like, at that point, you might as well. Like, Kepa has the highest save percentage in the league this season. I don't think that goalkeeper is it's the biggest issue right now. Like, how about we finally get a DM first before we're talking about flipping goalkeepers? Do you know what I mean? If we give Kepa another year, it's not going to be the be-all and end-all. The only scenario in which I would be like, yeah, okay, get a different goalkeeper is if a serious number one. Yeah, okay. First of all, indefinite. I'll tell you one more time, stop using all caps. Otherwise, I will block you. You've been around for a long time, so I don't want to just block you quick. But I've told you multiple times to stop using all cap, so stop using it. No need to shout.
There we go. There we go.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But yes, he did cost us points. Reece James has cost us points this season. Thiago Silva.
I'd say City too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Kepa has made mistakes. But I will ask you the question. Name me one player in our squad that hasn't. So
that's my thing. Like we were talking about on my stream, if we're writing up a list of players up for player of the season, I low-key think Kepa's second. If we're being real,
I agree.
I don't know who else goes in. Couldn't even make a top three.
And it's Kepa. Who else?
But in spite of that, it's like I have a lot more faith in Kepa than I did before, but like it's still not really 100%. I think at the top level, like if you're talking about contending for a league title, I don't know if Kepa's that guy. My only thing is I'd look for somebody to compete with Kepa as opposed to just being a straight backup with him.
Like if we got
one of his
Raya
things
in,
before
for example,
was
the Brentford
complacency.
keeper, and
One
he
of
has,
his
what,
biggest
this 20
issues was
million release
complacency.
clause?
Remember in 2020 with Caballero and everything, he already had the number one spot on lock. So it's like that kind of played into his head a little bit. I want somebody that can compete with him for his position and constantly get the best out of both of them. That is fine. As a straight number one, though, I think he's been amazing this season, but I need to see Kepa be this consistent for 2 seasons before he has my
I agree. I agree with that. Like I say, people find it funny if someone like Ter Stegen, I know he had a bad season last season, but this season's actually been absolutely phenomenal. And everybody knows how good he is with his feet. There's not a lot of goalies that are good with their feet and actually good goalies. If Barcelona needs somewhere 20, they might have a transfer ban in the summer unless they recoup money of £178 million or something crazy. So Ter Stegen might well be available. I think we should consider it, personally. The Neuer thing, Neuer's 36, but if he wants to leave Bayern, could he do a Thiago Silva job for us? I don't know. Maybe. But like I say, a Raya, a Sanchez, a Diogo Costa, what, do you want to add another young player to our young back line? Like, people ridiculed me. To me, Kepa is one of the biggest leaders we have in the squad now that Jorginho's left. You have Thiago Silva.
You're not wrong.
And then who's the second biggest leader after Thiago Silva? Reece James is too shy to ever say a word. And Mason Mount is doing TikToks instead of being a leader. So it's like, to me, Kepa is the second biggest leader we have in the fucking squad. Do you know what I mean? And he's one of the only guys that when we concede a goal, where the face doesn't go like this, he actually keeps his chin up, motivates players around him, tries to push players. Doesn't always work. But people that tell me Kepa is not a leader, you just don't know what a leader is.
Yeah, that's not true.
A leader doesn't mean you need to be the best player. Leader is...
He should be captain tomorrow, personally.
I agree.
He's always been vocal, to be fair, hasn't he, Kepa?
Yeah, exactly. And people say, shouting around doesn't mean you're a leader. No, I agree. But name how many players in the world that are the most expensive in their position, get dropped, benched for 2 years and don't kick up a fuss. Now, Chelsea tried to get rid of him and we couldn't because of his wages and stuff, but he didn't force a move. And how many players that are the biggest, that are the most expensive in their position, get dropped for 2 years and instead of kicking up a fuss, causing issues, support the team consistently, confirmed by Lampard and Thomas Tuchel, by the way, and then when they actually get the chance again, perform better than they ever have before. Like that, if that doesn't show of mentality and leadership, I don't know what is. Again, we can debate whether he's good enough or not, but his mentality and his leadership cannot be questioned. And what annoys me the most is people that bring up the League Cup final. Yeah, we all know that happened. Kepa was about 24 then. He clearly learned from it. Everyone makes mistakes. I'm sure you have, right? I'm sure you have. Every single person watching, every single person on the panel, we've all made mistakes. It happens. It matters. Do you learn from it or do you not? He looks like he has. So to me, I don't mind this unless someone significantly better than Kepa becomes available. Do you agree with that, Lewis? Or do you think someone like a Raya or Sanchez or Diego Costa are better than him? I know you said you want someone to compete with Kepa, but do you see any of the names we've realistically been linked with as better than Kepa? Because that's my issue. Again, if we were linked to, like I say, Ter Stegen, somehow like Alisson, sure, I'd be like, yeah, get rid of Kepa then. But because of the names we're linked with, I'm like, is there any benefit in doing that? Like, get Rice instead. I'd much rather that.
Raya looks good, but Raya looks very similar to Kepa. I know Diogo Costa. Huh?
He's even shorter than Kepa.
Is he shorter? I thought they were the same height.
Oh, no, he's short, I think.
What was it? Diogo Costa, I know he had an amazing season last season, and I think he still replicated it this year too. But I know he costs around the same amount. Huh? Yeah, he didn't have the best World Cup. Not the best. And that was on the biggest stage as well, so people just see that side to him. Yeah. He costs about as much as Kepa did too. I think he's got a 75 million euro release clause, so that's going to be on players' heads as on.
Scrape that option. Like it's not even valid.
But he'd be a great long-term option for us, but we need something for right now. Like we're buying too much for the future when we need a little bit of experience. I think goalkeeper is the position where we need experience in. And we've just spent the last 4 years to gain some experience. If you change him now and bring back a young goalkeeper, then as much as Kepa was arguably a waste in the first place because of how much he cost and how
unsuccessful, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things he's been. Imagine you do the same thing all over again. Do you know what I mean? It's mental.
Here's the thing, like if Kepa didn't have that 1920 season, I feel like I just have a lot more faith in him. But he was so bad for the whole season and even the start of the next season. It's like I'm too worried that guy's gonna come back out again. And we've seen it happen a couple times this season. And to be fair to him, it has only been a couple of times. He's been very consistent for most of the time that he's played for us this season. But I've got to see a bit more to make him my out-and-out number one. I think the next goalkeeper we bring in can't be an understudy. It has to be someone that's direct competition, and Kepa has to prove himself against him.
Or clear first choice, like instead of Kepa.
I would agree. Like, it is where Kepa's here. He don't want to go anywhere. He knows he's got a great contract here. We couldn't get rid of him last season, so I'm not too fussed about his long-term future. I'd rather we just find someone to compete.
One thing I would like people to consider for a minute as well is I know Mendy hasn't signed a new contract, and that has been an issue. And obviously, for some reason, breaking his finger has meant he's been injured for 3 months. Not sure how that's a thing. Look at Rob Green's fingers. Clearly, breaking a finger is not decisive in you playing, right? I mean, fucking Lance Stroll in F1 is driving with 2 broken wrists. So what the fuck, Mendy? But he still has 2 years left on his contract after the summer. So, like, I know we apparently want a backup goalie, but Kepa has had a really poor season and he managed to come back to be better. Is there a chance that Mendy can do that at all in your mind, Lewis? I'll stick with you for this one before I take it to Dimension Price. Mendy has been really poor, but Kepa had a really poor season. He's not as poor as he was back then anymore either. So is there a chance in your head that Mendy can come back to that and we just keep with Kepa and Mendy for a season and then sell Mendy and then maybe replace also Kepa as first choice? Or do you think we need to buy a backup goalie? Because I don't know, we haven't seen Mendy play since, before the World Cup, and then he played a one-off game when Kepa was like injured. And really, we haven't seen him play since Tuchel was here. So like, he might be better again now. I don't know.
I don't know because, as of right now, we need a goalkeeper that can play out the back because we still got Potter in charge.
That's true.
Potter just don't rate him for that. In terms of the contract situation, it looks like there's just not going to be an agreement. And if that's not the case, he's going to be gone in the summer. So he's not even involved in our long-term plans. I would kind of agree with you that he could maybe turn it around if he wasn't absolutely abysmal in the World Cup. That guy was so bad. So bad. We're probably one of the worst starting goalkeepers in the tournament. So it's not even a case of the system. That guy has just dropped off a cliff since April and he hasn't clawed himself back. And I don't think he's going to do that here. It just is what it is. I don't think he's at that level that we're looking for anymore. He got there. He reached a higher level than I've ever seen from Kepa, but he hasn't continued it. And he's fallen off to a worse place than he's ever been in the Chelsea shirt. Start the season, he was costing us games left, right, and centre. End of last season, it was the same thing too. World Cup, there was mistakes everywhere. Nah, Mendy, I think it's just done personally.
First, Pice, I'll ask you, what are your thoughts on what Chelsea are apparently going to do according to Mail Sport? Do you think we should replace him as first choice? Do you agree with Lewis? Get someone in who can compete if the manager then decides, or the goalkeeper coach more so than the manager, says, okay, say Raya, if he apparently has this release clause of 20 million, but would he want that? Would he want to come as not being guaranteed first choice? Wouldn't he then maybe prefer to stay at Brentford as first choice? I don't know. What do you think, Pice?
Well, I think Raya is probably the most likely since he doesn't want to sign a new contract. I think he'd be available on the cheap, but I don't personally think Kepa will be our number one next season. I feel like we'll buy someone. And I think Raya, probably.
And do you expect him, if we buy him, to immediately be number one over Kepa? Because that's the part I disagree with, because I just don't see what he's better at.
Well, down to personal opinions, I guess. But I just don't see Kepa or Mendy being our number one next season. I think we're in a difficult situation, obviously, because of our manager as well. Like, our managerial position, like we don't know who's going to be in charge or what they're going to want. So, you know, if it's Graham Potter still, then maybe it is still Kepa. But personally, I mean, I'd have him for another season, considering we're not going to be in the Champions League and stuff like that. But me personally, I don't trust him long term. I just never have done. So, that's my position on it.
I mean, I guess like Lewis touched on earlier, if he gets another season and then he has another good season like this season, maybe even with less mistakes, I guess at some point more and more people would start to trust him. So then I guess you'd have to think about it. But yeah, I hear where you're coming from. I hear it. Like I say, if there was good replacement options that were talked about, I'm like, sure. But I don't see Arias better. He's shorter. Is he good with the ball at his feet? Yes. But so is Kepa. Now, yeah, maybe Raya hasn't conceded long shots like Kepa has, but I don't watch every Brentford game. I can't tell you if that has reasons because he saves them, or if they face less of those, or if they're defenders because they sit deeper all the time. You just automatically have less long shots against you because you will always have someone closing a player that would shoot from distance down, so they just happen a lot less. Yeah, I don't know, man. Really, the Brentford goalie is who we think is going to fix it, really. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know about this one. And it's like with Thomas Frank. Have you seen Brentford play? Like, Graham Potter is certainly much more suited to his style working at Chelsea. It hasn't. But in general, what he wants to do and what he did at Brighton was way more likely to translate to Chelsea than Thomas Frank's is. His team is all about physique. Look at our team, man. Do you really think we're gonna we're gonna be, beating everyone physically? No chance. But Damesh, before we finish this one off, the Kepa conversation, what do you think about this one? Are you annoyed that if he stays the first choice next season? What do you think?
I think for this season, I have to give credit to Kepa because, like Lewis mentioned, in the 1920 season, he was horrific. Like, he was really bad, just mistake after mistake. I've literally got like a whole. So every time Kepa made a mistake, I always used to take a video of it because I was like, I was just so done with this guy. But at the same time, like, fair play to him, he hasn't ever kicked a fuss about not leaving. And I mentioned before Lukaku kicking up a fuss after like 3 months wanting to leave. So credit to him, he's turned it around the season, made a few errors as well, which is expected from a goalkeeper. To be fair, like even the best goalkeepers make errors.
I mean, Alisson literally lost 2 weeks ago, and Courtois.
Courtois, Alisson, Edison. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm looking at some of the teams maybe at the say at the bottom, the ones that get relegated potentially. We saw what Arsenal did with, say, like Aaron Ramsdale, for example. Like he's come in, he's done quite well, like really well for them. Could that be an option maybe with one of the teams that goes down? I'm not really sure. I don't rate
Ramsdale at all, personally.
Fairs. But you got obviously say if I don't know if the Forest go down, for example, would Keylor Navas be an option potentially to come in to contest for that number one position? I'm looking at sort of transfer market as well now. Like you've obviously got Lucas Fabianski's out of contract as well, so to sort of contend for that number one position.
If you're talking about West Ham, I would much rather Areola than Fabianski personally.
Yeah, same with me. I prefer Areola as well, but yeah, you got Handanovic as well, very experienced at obviously Inter Milan. I don't know if he's still the number one for them though. It was at Onana.
No, he's Onana mostly. Handanovic's been shit for 2 years,
Has he?
I think another one that could be a potential. I mean, I've not watched too much of him, but he's been mentioned to me a lot. Is that I think his name's Lafont. I think he's a French goalie. He's absolutely massive. I think
Nantes, I think he plays for.
Yeah, I think he's quite good.
He's 6'5", unless FIFA stats are wrong, but I know from FIFA it's 6'5", so he is tall, but hey, Mendy's tall. Problem doesn't solve everything being tall, does it?
Yeah, but I think the problem with the goalkeeping position as well, it's similar to like the managerial position where there's no standout sort of goalkeeper out there. Like I think I mentioned in the chat about Oblak, like that could be one that we look at if Potter's not here. Maybe a different manager wouldn't want to play as much at the back from a goalkeeper. So Oblak could be an option, but only thing with that, it'll cost a lot of money potentially as well. And obviously you mentioned ter Stegen as well, Laurenz. Like I'd probably take ter Stegen. Given Barcelona's financial frailties at the moment, I'm guessing they'll be willing to sell to us. God knows from last season and stuff. But
it's also like we got Gaga Slonina. Like a lot of people
forgot about him. Yeah,
super like backing that. Like he's definitely going to be our goalkeeper in a few years. I don't know where people have this opinion from. Have you?
He's just going to replace Bettinelli, isn't he? Because Bettinelli's
going
to leave.
No, exactly. So. But like people are talking as if he's guaranteed to be this first choice goalie. I'm like, hey, did you watch MLS compilations or did you actually watch him in the MLS or like? Because where have people got this opinion from? But if that's not at least
There's
the
a
plan
Dortmund
from Chelsea,
keeper
why
as
to buy
well.
him?
What's
You
his
know
name? Kobler? I think that's his name. I can't remember his name. The Dortmund keeper.
Kobel, yeah.
Kobel,
But
that's it. Yeah.
he's another one. Is he that good with the ball in his feet? I mean, he's spawned from out of nowhere as the Dortmund goalie 2 years ago, when for some reason they dropped Berkey and no one knows where he's even gone since then. Who was like, also, how does Switzerland spawn this many good goalkeepers? A bit weird, but anyway, it's
a weird one with the goalkeeper because there's no sort of standout, like I said, no really standout sort of keeper out there. And if we are going to get someone in, then it's going to be someone to challenge Kepa for the number one spot. So yeah,
Exactly.
And then who knows? I don't know. I don't have any like faith that Mendy will come as good as he did in that sort of season that he was really good. But yeah.
Who knows, mate? Who knows? I mean, LSJ says Gavin Bazunu is wanted by Joe Shields, but how do you know that? That's an Irish Southampton goalie, isn't it? Again, I don't know.
Maybe a clean sheet against Chelsea isn't impressive, by the way, with Bazunu.
Yeah,
so.
can't lie.
Exactly.
Well, Bazunu's an all right goalkeeper from what I've seen.
What the
He's
hell
had
is
good
this?
I don't know either what we've got. Bertram said we've got
we've
something
got
fun coming up,
close.
so let's see how this one goes. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a little quiz. We're back to the quizzes. Let's not ruin Chelsea's. Let's not let Chelsea's dreadful form ruin our fun. Do you know what I mean? If you're new here, by the way, still subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. On the road to 20k subs, so please hit the subscribe button and hit the like button as well, because that helps us spread these streams out to more people. But here we go. The CFC book of quotes. Hello all, and welcome to you on this academic Friday. All right. We will look today at some of our peers and finest lines of passage regarding our beautiful club. I hope you enjoy. About the author, other than his devilishly handsome looks and imperious quizzes, Quizmaster Bertram is just as upset about the results right now as all of you. So let's spread some positivity to everyone around us and hope we win tomorrow. Well, can't back that anymore. Who said the following quote? I think I had a positive development at Chelsea. I was very young when I arrived, only 20, and the problem I had was injuries. Who said that? Mo Salah, De Bruyne, Lukaku, or Robin? I would say this one's quite easy, but what do you reckon? I'll start with you, Damesh. What do you reckon?
I think it's Robin, you know. I think it's Robin.
Would you agree?
Yeah, he had injury issues, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think.
Exactly. I don't remember Salah being injured. Don't remember De Bruyne being injured. And, well, Lukaku would never say that. So, Lewis, do you agree it's got to be Robin, no?
Yeah, I don't remember any of the others being injury prone for us. They just barely got given game time. It's got to be Robin.
Yeah, there you go. Iron Robin, there you go. What a wonderful kid that was, by the way. Beautiful.
Please come back.
Yeah, exactly. Who said this following quote? I came to Chelsea and it was, oh, you can't play Champions League. You can't do this. You can't do that. And I proved them wrong. Jorginho, Gary Cahill, Joe Cole, John Terry. Well, I don't know. It could be Jorginho or Cahill to me.
Yeah, that's my thing. I feel like it's a bit of a trick.
I think it's Gary Cahill.
So do I. I think this is a Cahill quote.
I reckon. Like Jorginho's definitely said things along those lines, but I feel like
it could be Terry. I don't know
if it was Georgie. If it was Georgie, Pice, do you reckon Georgie Cahill? Somebody else?
Something tells me John Terry, but I'm gonna say Cahill as well.
Okay. Let's see. It was Gary Cahill. Look at us go. There you go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I thought Jorginho never made the Chelsea captain, by the way. Disgraceful. But anyway, move on. Who said the following quote? I grew up as a Chelsea fan, and you know I made my name playing for Chelsea, the club I've always supported, but I don't see why anything will change.
It's definitely not Mason Mount.
It's definitely not Bettinelli.
No.
It's got to be Reece, right?
I think it might be Reece.
It's got to be Reece, surely.
Is it? I think Reece said this when he signed his contract. If I remember right.
Well, I don't understand the quote, really, especially the buts. Why does it say
Mount's
buts?
a pumpy boy, isn't he?
Why anything
right?
will change.
Yeah.
Bit strange. But
it's James. It has to be James.
I think it's supposed to be, and I don't see why anything would change.
Yeah, probably. I reckon. But Bertram must have copied it from somewhere, so I don't know. But yes, Reece James. Big up yourself, Reece James. Unfortunate about your hamstring. We don't like that one. Anyways, which Chelsea legend said this? Go on.
Oh, I just said get well soon.
Okay. Chelsea legend said the following. Which Chelsea legend said the following quote? I really enjoyed coaching Chelsea. It was a different atmosphere with less money and a more familiar environment. Ruud Gullit, Gianfranco Zola, Gianluca Vialli, or Ranieri. I don't know.
I'm going to say Gullit, I think.
less money. So this has got to be an old quote.
Yeah.
I think this is Ranieri, only because he says it was a different atmosphere, which makes it out like he wasn't there before. So that would take all the other three out, and Zoe didn't even manage us.
How long was Rullit here as Hullit only here as only a player? Because didn't he become player manager very quickly?
Yeah, it was like I think 6 months to a year or something, but he was still there. Like he was there before. I think it's Ranieri.
Okay, Pice, did you pick one already?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ranieri as well.
Okay, Dalmesh, what about you?
I'm gonna go Rude, but
see, I was gonna go Rude as well. You know, it's just because they're different environment in terms of where he was before playing AC Milan, or playing at the very big clubs. Because Ranieri didn't have a big club before us, did he? Unless I'm forgetting something now. So that's why I'm like. I think it's Hullit, but I could be wrong. It was Vialli.
Oh.
Well, we were all right. Oh, there you go.
Oh,
fair enough. Fair enough.
R.I.P. man.
I thought I was really smart with that one. All right,
well,
cool.
Here we are.
I'm an idiot.
That's how it goes. Which famous Chelsea fan said the following quote? My hobbies are cooking and gardening, especially growing orchids. I love soccer. All right. And I support a British team called Chelsea. I also enjoy tennis. We have 3 cats. All right. Lord Richard Attenborough, Nick Candy, Matthew McConaughey, and Juliet Mills. Well, wasn't Nick Candy the guy that tried to buy us at the last second?
Yeah. Well, the guy says soccer, so I don't even know who the last two are. Whoever's American in this list.
Only Pice would not know who Matthew McConaughey is. One of the most famous actors in the world, bro. But I have no idea who Juliet Mills is either, to be honest. I have not.
I don't know these guys.
Wasn't there recently, not long ago, like an interview with some sort of very old, originally American fan, but has lived in London for God knows how long. Maybe her name is Juliet Mills. So it could be her. Is Attenborough even a Chelsea fan? Lewis, you would probably know that.
I ain't got a single clue with this, but I'm just gonna randomly go for Nick Candy. Just because I'm thinking
it's got to be
is Nick Candy English?
Yeah.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey, whoever's American.
No, with cats, it's got to be the girl, surely.
Yeah, it could be McConaughey. I don't know.
Maybe.
Juliet.
Interesting.
I think I'm not into McConaughey, so I'm gonna stick with him. But it could be either. I ain't got a clue.
I'm gonna back McConaughey because
Juliet.
I don't know. I love soccer, but then again, can I see McConaughey loving soccer? He's so American. Wouldn't he love football? Like, American football. I don't know. I also enjoy tennis. You know what? I'm gonna actually back Pice, not because it's a woman, but because I'm gonna go Juliet Mills. Damesh, what are you gonna go for?
Yeah, I'll roll with Juliet Mills as well.
All right, let's see. Juliet Mills. There you go. I think it must be that woman, but who knows? If anyone knows who Juliet Mills is, let us know. Which FIFA icon said the following quote? I had a hard time at Chelsea, mainly because I was injured much of the time. Every time I recovered from one injury, I seemed to get a new one, and it set me back again. Crespo, Eto'o, Desai, or Shevchenko. Was Desai injured much? Don't know. Eto'o, don't think so. So I guess it's between Crespo and Shevchenko. I don't remember if either of them or which one of them was injured loads.
I'm going to say Crespo.
Could well be. Pice, what do you reckon?
I'm currently on their icon card, seeing how much games they played for us.
They probably played a similar amount, really.
Oh yeah, they're all legends. Icons. I'm not sure.
Oh, they did play a very similar amount. Fuck. I'm going to go with Shevchenko.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Crespo did better, didn't he? I swear he was like a bit better.
Yeah.
He was more homesick, if anything. Well, he preferred Italy. I'm going to go Shevchenko too.
Yeah, I reckon Shevchenko. I don't know, but I don't remember Shevchenko being injured. So
that's the thing. I don't recall him being injury prone either. I
thought Crespo was.
Maybe Crespo was.
It
was Andrei Shevchenko. There we go.
Well done, boys.
I did love Andrei Shevchenko back in the day. It was just unfortunate that our manager didn't want him and the owner just put him there anyway. That was a bit pointless. But hey, here we are. Thank you very much for reading the Chelsea Book of Quotes. I hope you all enjoyed. We'll print it out and send to Laurenz if the stream gets over 550 likes. So, hey, if you want me to get this printed and put it in the background, smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. I massively appreciate it. But let's finally talk about tomorrow's game. Like we touched on a couple of times, we only scored 1 goal in the last month. We can't win a game. The last time we won a game was against Palace. That was still in January. It's not looking good, Brev, is it? It absolutely is. And also on top of that, Thiago Silva got himself injured for a whole 6 weeks against Spurs by, Reece James getting nutmegged, then Koulibaly colliding into Thiago Silva's knee, then Kane falling onto Thiago Silva's knee. Was it the Koulibaly impact? Was it the Kane impact? Was it the combination of both? We will never know. But we've got our best player missing. So that's fun. Also, Reece James is a doubt because of tightness in his hamstring. What I said to Darmesh before we went live, before Pice and Lewis had joined, I feel like maybe Reece James wouldn't have played tomorrow anyway. Maybe I should bring this up, but I can also just read it because I screenshotted it the other day. It came out on the Fifth Stand app, and because Graham Potter seemed to be a little bit annoyed by fans criticizing him not playing Reece James. And he said, I've tried to explain many times about long-term injuries. Players are just not able to play 3 games in a week after long-term injuries. I have a duty of care to them and to their welfare to make sure they're not on the pitch and risking injuries. If Reece James injures himself again because of an overload issue, because he hasn't had time to recover or play 3 games in a week, that is on me. Obviously, I take the consequences, which are we change the team. But from West Ham to Dortmund, which was at the time, to this game, I don't think there are too many changes. The fact there was a 3rd game in a week after Dortmund made it difficult to keep picking the same starting 11. We played Dortmund on a Wednesday, returned at 4 a.m., and then played at Premier League on a Saturday. There was one change, blah, blah, blah. Loftus-Cheek, for example, Thiago Silva, Reece James were unable to play against Southampton. That is just where we're at. So because of those quotes from a week or 2 ago, I'm like, would Reece have even played anyway? I don't know. But that is not ideal. And Mason Mount is also out with some lower abdominal issues, whatever that means. Sounds like he got kicked in the nuts, to be honest. But who knows?
Sounds like he got a tummy ache.
Or that. But no.
Like Christensen, Lewis, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that's your mate.
He got treated differently for it. But we move.
Bro, I have to say,
I don't think anyone had a go Christensen when it happened once, bro.
Christensen was. I know they lost, but he was so good against Man United, I have to say.
I know. There was
quality
a tear
player,
in
They
my eye
got
when
knocked
he
out.
said-
So, see you, Barca. But, that's a whole different debate. But anyways.
Keep going strong, AC.
Keep going strong, yeah, to be fair to him.
That's going to be me with cover when he leaves.
Yeah.
With Gallagher.
Also, if he leaves the City, or
Mate.
what do we make of that one anyway? Did you
Who?
like the whole
It's
Kovacic to
ridiculous.
City thing?
Oh no, I think Kovacic is going to leave. I do think he's going, but
Or will we
we
let him
don't
go
have
to
to
City?
send him to England. We don't have to keep him in England. We could. I'm sure there will be clubs outside of England that will be.
He'd be
happy
so
to-
good on
But
the
if you
City
think about
as
it,
well.
like no one's got any money in Europe anymore. Like it's
That's true.
genuinely like Premier League to Premier League transfers are going to become so common now. It's ridiculous. Like this is
Maybe,
the
maybe
Super League.
PSG though, because their midfield's a bit shit. So
Yeah,
maybe they can do with company.
Maybe.
It's kind of
no,
PSG, Real Madrid, excuse me, and Bayern. Everybody else is skinned outside of the Premier League. So, bloody hell, nearly dying over here. But main question, before we get into picking a team, shall we pick a back 3 or a back 4? This has been a conversation that's been going on Twitter over the last week. Even like people like Matt Law are talking about, I think they should go back to a back 3. And obviously there was this, what Lewis brought up earlier, how we might experiment back with that. And you could argue our best results and performances under Graham Potter have come in that formation. My problem with it, my hesitation with it is simply we're clearly trying to permanently move away from the back 3. Maybe keep it as an option for a one-off game, sure. But in general, that's clearly the aim. Whether that's coming from the ownership in terms of Bodie and Iqbali, I doubt they have enough understanding of football to really call for something like that. But maybe like a Bibel, maybe one of the other guys. So if we now return back to it, especially as all of us want Potter gone anyway, like is that what we really want to see? Yeah, I agree. It would probably make us more likely to win tomorrow, just because I still feel the players might be more comfortable with it. But doesn't it just, if the more we do this, every time the back 4 doesn't work, we go back to a back three. Like we already did that. We just run in cycles. We had Anna Kante, the back three still working. Okay, we went to Sarri and Lampard, played the back four. Then Lampard started switching to the back three a little bit. Then we got Tuchel and play back three again. And then after about a year and a bit of that stopped working again. So every time we stop the back four to go to a back three, it works for a bit and then it doesn't work again and we all call for the back four again. And back four, like, I agree that maybe we should change something, but that doesn't necessarily mean we need to change that it's a back four. We can change something else, theoretically. I just think every time we go back from it, it just extends the process of how long it takes until we finally get good in a back four. So I'm like, is it really worth changing it for 1 or 2 games to maybe improve the result? Like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Pice, I'll let you go first on this one. What do you think? Should we do a back four or back three tomorrow? Especially if Reece James isn't available anyway.
I would say
wing back then.
I would still go with a back four because I think with a back three, you have to put Ruben right wing back, which is not the worst of ideas.
I forgot about him, actually. Back three is gone.
but you know, the problem with that is like that was really a strictly Tuchel thing, and we don't really know how that goes under Graham Potter. Because
did Potter not do it? I swear Potter did it at the beginning of the season. Ruben
no, I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he's done it. I don't think
he did, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I could.
But back 4 to you then, and is it 4-2-3-1 again for you then, or would you maybe think of a 4-3-3 type thing, especially with Leeds, pressing very aggressively and stuff? Maybe an extra man in midfield would be quite beneficial in that sense, or do you then say, well, where do you put Joao Felix then? But then again, with what Joao Felix has done in the last 2 games, is that the issue? I know Pies won't like me saying
it's more where you put Enzo, I think, because like can he like players like a lone six? Like, by the way, if I think about like our last few games, like if we play a 4-3-3, like there's been so much space and so much like disorganization. Like I don't know if I trust whoever plays, in those 2 more attacking spots to leave leave Enzo with the right protection. So yeah, I mean Leeds are going to be a very, very aggressive side tomorrow. And I don't really know what we should do, to be honest with you. We're in a bit of a pickle in midfield, to be fair, because we got the players, but like what sort of? Well, I don't know if we do, but we got some players, and what sort of like how do we best go about it is quite a difficult conversation, I think.
We should have gone about it. It's not let Jorginho go, but maybe I should let that one go. Not dwell on that too much. But Pice was right. Clicking through quickly, I don't think Ruben has played right wing back on the Potter, at least according to football lineups. So fair enough, but I'd still like to see it, especially while last week, in case people are on the way, because of his concussion against Southampton, the whole concussion protocol. He's still not available to playing. It might be for Dortmund. I'm not sure. Otherwise, it's going to be the week after. Darmesh, I'll ask you. Back 3, back 4, especially without Reece James, it's the back 3. Like, if we had Reece James available, I'd certainly be much more inclined to agree. But without Reece James, like, what benefit do I have from that? I mean, like, and again, not everyone might agree, not everyone might have seen it, but trust me, it's true. Off the ball, we play a back 5 anyway, like, right now. Like, we do that constantly. So, you're going to put Ziyech right wing back? Well, that already doesn't work now. So, like, what benefit do you have from it, really?
Yeah, like Pies is kind of a tough one for tomorrow, I guess. I think if Reece was fit, I definitely think we should try this back 5 against Leeds because they'll be right up for it. Obviously, with the rivalry that we have with them, Javi Gracia as well just come in as well. They got their first win in God knows how long against Southampton last week, where they won 1-0. Obviously, when out in the cup, they did as well. So they'll be right up for it, and they arguably the points just as more as sort of we do in a way from their sort of perspective because they're in the bottom 3, I believe, at the moment, or just outside. So yeah, they're going to be proper up for it. So yeah, I think.
Do you think with Reece being out, like defensive reasons are the reasons why we need to do it? Again, we consider the second least amount of goals in the league. I don't think for defensive reasons we need to change to a back 3.
No, I think it's just to involve our wing backs more because we've seen in the sort of the past, like in my opinion, with the past couple of games, like there hasn't been much threat from our wing backs in a way. It's been more sort of defensive play. So I think that's the main reason why, because with that system, it is the wing backs that make the difference. So with regards to that, with Reece being out, it's kind of changed my mind a bit with probably go with the back four tomorrow, if I'm being honest, with the news that's come out today.
Fair dues, Lewis. Then, I mean, you're kind of outvoted if you go back three now without Reece James. But would you go back three even without Reece, or would you only consider it with it?
Nah, just the options we're going to put at the right are just terrible. The best thing we could do is maybe Ruben at wing back, but he hasn't played there in so long. And even with the form that he's been having recently, I don't really back him in that sort of position. We're forced into a back four anyway, but what difference does it make? If we're being real, what difference does it make?
Would you stick to 4-2-3-1 though, Lewis, or would you somehow change it up in that sense within the back four?
Yeah, you might as well stick 4-2-3-1. If they had the right players up front, I'd actually back it. But
the right players and the right structure. Because my issue still is, sure, right players, so true. But there are a lot against Spurs and against Southampton. It just didn't even feel like we had an idea of how to get the ball to them, let alone we didn't even give them the ball in any useful situation. Where I'm like, no. Even if you put fucking Messi up top, if he doesn't get the ball in any useful situation, he can't do nothing either. Do you know what I mean? No matter who you are. But I don't know why. Is it a lack of plan? Is it a lack of execution? Potter keeps saying at the moment how in training we're seeing so many positive things, but not translating it to the pitch. Well, I want to see it on the pitch, mate, because otherwise you're just waffling in my head. But hey, here we are. One thing, let's just get the things done that we know already. I guess Mendy isn't available, so Kepa will be in goal. But let's do the back four. Thiago Silva is not available. I will say a caveat before, because I see a lot of people already talking about Chalobah at right back. When Aspi did get knocked out against Southampton and Chalobah came on, Fofana had already come on at halftime for Koulibaly. For those last 10 minutes, it wasn't Chalobah at right back, it was Fofana at right back. So if we're seeing any of the centre-backs playing right back, it will be Fofana, not Chalobah. Just to make that very clear. He's faster. The reason why Chalobah played it, say, at Liverpool is because, well, Fofana was injured then. So I think if any of the centre-backs playing right back, it will be Fofana, not Chalobah. That's all I have to base it off. They had 10 minutes with both of them on the pitch. Fofana was the guy that was picked to play right back, not Chalobah. So I have to pick up that. Fernando Torres of a manager. Bit harsh on Fernando Torres. Calm down.
Sure.
So what would you guys pick? I'll start with you then, Pice. Might as well pick the whole back four with what we've got available. Who would you pick and where, I suppose?
I would go with Cucurella at left back, so I can play Chilwell on Tuesday. I would
Do you think
go
Chile can't handle both?
No, I'd go with Cucurella this game. I don't think he can handle both.
Cucurella hasn't even made the squad in the last two games. Is he available? I don't know.
Well, either him or Lewis Hall, I don't really care. I'd actually like to see Lewis Hall, but he also hasn't made the squad. So, but I think Chilwell plays on Tuesday, and I think it would be a risk. Saturday to Tuesday is a bit crazy, to be honest. Centre backs, I will go with.
It's the same as Wednesday, Saturday, by the way, in terms of difference.
But
I'm just saying because everyone had a go at Potter for resting players against Southampton. It's the same gap.
I'm trying to this is definitely a huge game on Tuesday though, so I'm trying to think of who plays in the. I mean, they're both huge games. So I don't know. Centre backs is difficult because on Tuesday I want to play Badiashile and Fofana, but I also want to play them in this game.
Badiashile can't play, can you, on Tuesday?
He can't. No, he can't. Okay, Badiashile. Of course he can't. Badiashile will play then tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
he better do.
Yeah, I think him and I actually think
it's got to be Koulibaly, no, because it's going to be Fofana at right back. I think so.
No, I disagree. I think it's going to be Chalobah at right back. I know what you said, but I still think. I mean, Fofana at right back. Seriously, come on.
But why would he have put Fofana there for the last 10 against Southampton and not Chalobah then?
I don't know. I don't think he knows what he's doing at the moment, to be honest.
Fair enough. But Fofana is way faster than Chalobah, so just for that, it does make sense. So. Fofana is definitely the fastest centre back we have, by a distance, I think.
Yeah, I'll go with Fofana at centre back and
Chalobah. Then you've not really got much of a choice there.
Yeah, I mean, that back four is horrible, but that's probably going to be what it's going to go.
You not trust it more with Koulibaly in the middle? Koulibaly was okay last game.
I don't know. I'm not sure. But I mean, Koulibaly and then Fofana definitely look stronger on paper. But I mean, yeah,
Especially if we want to get Koulibaly back into playing. I guess he played the last game, so he's in the rhythm.
yeah.
already.
No, you could do that, I guess, because Koulibaly has played on the right sometimes. So yeah, go Koulibaly and then Fofana on the right back.
Fair dues. Fair dues. See, I personally think it. Well, I don't even want to say should be because it shouldn't be that we have to play any centre back and right back. Obviously, it's unfortunate that Aspie got kicked in the head and Reece James' hamstring is about as stable as, well, I don't know. Let's save ourselves the joke. It's not even funny anymore. But yeah, I don't really think you can pick much else. If I'm honest, sure, Chalobah maybe deserves a chance, but is he going to be played over Koulibaly? No. And I'd rather a faster player right back than a slower player. So that's why I'm picking Fofana. So it would be my back four too. Well, except the left back thing. I'm not sure on that one yet. Lewis, what would be your back four?
I'd play Chilwell over Cucurella just because I think bar the 1v1s with Kulusevski for a little bit of the first half, I didn't think he was that bad. Mm-hmm. And Cucurella's just been awful recently. Other than that, like
one of them too.
Yeah. Other than that, I'd stick with it. I think Koulibaly needs to start just so he can get himself into a little bit more form with the Dortmund game in mind. But yeah, I'm happy with that back four. Yeah, it's the best we can come up with.
Which is the problem in and of itself, I suppose. That's the only reason why, even without Reece James and considering back three, at least you don't have to play a centre back and right back. But then who plays right wing back? Like I say, maybe Ruben, maybe Ziyech. What? Sterling, do you know what I mean? Like he did that for one game earlier in the season. I don't know. Darmesh, would you pick Chile? Would you pick Cucurella? And what about the other three?
Yeah, definitely agree with the centre back partnership. Badiashile and Koulibaly, like Lewis said. Try and play Koulibaly in some form because we'll need sort of his experience and leadership on Tuesday against Dortmund. So yeah, definitely agree with that centre back partnership. Yeah, right back Percy, I'll still go Chalobah in my opinion, but I won't be complaining if it's Fofana, to be honest, because I've got a feeling he'll start on Tuesday as well, so it'd be good to sort of play him into form as well. So I wouldn't mind.
Unless Chalobah starts centre back on Tuesday.
Yeah, so I wouldn't mind Fofana sort of starting either, to be honest. Yeah, left back is difficult because how many games has Chilwell been back now for? 3 or 4 games, right? Or has it been less?
A little while. I can't remember the first. Was Dortmund away his first start?
I can't remember. Was it West Ham? No, I don't remember now. But yeah, I'll probably go Chilwell just because of the significance and importance of tomorrow as well as Tuesday, and then who knows if we're. I was thinking,
especially if the right back is a centre back. I don't want Cucurella who doesn't attack as the left back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I'll probably sound deluded, but if we're winning comfortably, then we can easily take him off and bring Cucurella on. But we all know that's not happening. Yeah. We all know that's not happening. So yeah, I think we're at that stage now.
I don't think Chilwell plays twice in a row. I think if it's not Cucurella, it's Lewis Hall.
Why I would disagree is Potter rotated so many players again in that Southampton game after Dortmund away. But Chilwell stayed in the team. So the fact that he did it once to Chile, I'm like, he's probably going to do it again. So
yeah, that position, I'm basing it if it's any of the three. Like if it's Lewis Hall, if it's Cucurella or Chilwell, just. Yeah.
I mean, if it's not Chile, I would generally pick Lewis Hall again. If the right back is a centre back, we need the left back to be attacking. So Cucurella automatically.
As long as we keep sort of like that. Is it Nonto and that Jack Harrison quiet on either side? Like they're probably the most sort of like threatening players that they Leeds have. So. Yeah,
the most threatening players against us are our own players.
Yeah, true. That's true as well.
Let's be serious. Yeah. Right. Let's get into midfield, and Darmesh, I'll stick with you. Now that we have this 4-2-3-1 up on screen, who would you pick as the double pivot then? By the way, for people who maybe don't know this, Kante did complete his first full training session today, but obviously is not available tomorrow yet. Maybe he's going to make the bench against Dortmund, but I don't think he's going to start that one either, unless Potter throws everything I just read out to you in terms of he has an obligation for their welfare. Completely throws that out the window. It's like, I need to save my job, and throws Kante in. But tomorrow he's not going to be in.
Yeah, midfield. Definitely Enzo would start. I'm pretty much assuming Enzo will start tomorrow. Don't see him being dropped at all. And next to him, I'd probably go with
Zakaria?
Yeah, I'll probably go Zakaria. I
He
think
finally got
recover
some
that.
minutes against Spurs, so maybe he's now able to start. I
Yeah,
guess.
I'd probably go Zakaria to see how that sort of midfield partnership does, and I definitely don't want to see what Potter did in the Dortmund game, where Enzo was our sort of deepest player and Zakaria was the one bombing forward more.
Oh, trust me, it will be. But
It's be so annoying, man. Just have Zakaria as the six because he's shown that he can play there, and just want to see Enzo with a bit more freedom.
he did
and
show
see,
it, but it's like 4 years ago, to be fair. So
and see what he can cook up, man. Because like Enzo when he's like doesn't have that sort of pressure to defend us more. Is a different player to what he's now. Like I think he's still being great for us, but there's still more to come from him. So yeah, I'll probably go Enzo and Zakaria with that midfield pivot, and then yeah.
I would probably agree. I would probably go Enzo and Zakaria. Lewis, who would you pick midfield? Enzo and Zakaria, Ruben Kovacic. Who would you put next to Enzo?
I'd go Zakaria just so you have a little bit more physicality there. Plus, I think Zakaria is the only person who could potentially sit back a bit more and let Enzo go a bit further forward. It's the best we can go for, yeah.
There you go. Pice, are you in agreement? Even if your heart probably cries at not starting Kovacic if he is available?
Cover can start on Tuesday. Zakaria, I believe he should start tomorrow. I agree with this midfield, yeah.
So against Dortmund, you'd go Enzo Cover.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because
I guess we have to risk it where we're losing. But...
Yeah, we need 2 goals without them scoring to even go through. So we got to go all out attacking.
Yeah, maybe, but fair enough. Enzo and Zakaria for tomorrow then. All right, let's get to these front 4, I suppose. Well, Mount isn't available, so I guess Joao Felix needs to do this one. But please, Joao, wake up. Like, whatever happened against Spurs, don't let that happen again. You need, like, it's the Premier League. It's not lovely, coffee and cake in the afternoon, like afternoon tea time where, the goalie, like someone can punt the ball to you and you just wait half an hour until you react to it. Absolutely no chance. Like Oliver Skip mugged you off. Are you not embarrassed? Oliver Skip. Look at his name. Oliver Skip. Sounds like a fucking flipping cartoon old book character. What is this? Come on,
Skip.
Sort yourself out. So, exactly that. Pissing right off. But any which way, has to be Joao Felix at the 10. What about the others? Now, for me, Mudryk needs to start again. Like, to me, it's ridiculous that he didn't start last week, personally. How is he going to get better if he's not going to start? Let the guy play, man. But anyway, and then I would pick Sterling on the other side. And then, well, I know Lou's going to pick up Aubameyang.
Yep.
This doesn't make a difference to me. They're all shit anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And until these 5 work, whoever's here, whether it's Aubameyang, Fofana, or Havertz, none of them are going to do shit. So let's see if these ones work, and then we can see what happens here. But that will be my 3 behind the striker. It would be my striker. Pice, would you pick the same? Would you pick someone different? I mean, what should be Hakim Ziyech again, though?
Do you want my front 4 or everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go with Mudryk, Felix, Madueke, and then Aubameyang up top.
Really, not Sterling after he's looked good. Like one of the only ones that looked decent.
I'd play him against on the Champions League. I think Madueke should come back in because he can't play on Tuesday. So, yeah, I think Madueke.
Fair enough. Lewis. Sorry. Would you pick Kai or Aubameyang or Fofana up top?
Aubameyang up top.
Okay. Damesh, what about you?
Yeah, my front 4. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I probably have to agree with Pice and go Aubameyang up top for me. Havertz is just dreadful. Like, he's been dreadful for ages, and don't know why he keeps starting. But yeah, we all know he's going to start anyway. So yeah, probably go Aubameyang up top. Felix in the 10. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, the 2 wings. I'm just a bit puzzled actually because I've kind of had a doubt in my mind about Mudryk in terms of whether Potter actually wanted Mudryk in the first place because he's been benched for a couple of games, and it's just like, did Potter not really want Mudryk in the first place? Is that why he's benching him? So, and then remind me if I'm wrong. Can Mudryk play in the Champions League? He can, right? Or no? Yeah, you can. Okay, so probably go Mudryk on the left, and then I'll probably go Madueke on the right, if I'm being honest. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh,
if
say
that
no
sort
to
of thing
Sterling. He was our only half decent player last game.
Yeah, but I think the fact that Madueke can't play on Tuesday, I think that probably like is in my mind right now in terms of that, and I think Sterling will start the Champions League game. But yeah, that's the front four I'd go for.
Fair enough. Listen, obviously, I know you're going to pick up Aubameyang up front. That's fine.
Yep.
Behind him, would you go Madueke as well, or would you stick with Sterling? Would you put Sterling in instead of Mudryk? What would you put?
I think because Sterling was good on the left against Spurs, I want to keep him there. So I'd take Sterling, I put him on the left. You can keep Madueke in there. I'd have Mudryk off the bench and then have him start against Dortmund, depending on the way Sterling plays. Because I can't, if Sterling continues to play like that, we've got nothing.
Madueke isn't available anyway, so.
Yeah, then you probably have to put Sterling on the right by default. But
that's what I'm saying. Shouldn't you play Sterling on the right tomorrow already then?
Well, like warm him up to it or something. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, you know what? But then Madueke misses 3 games in a row.
But has he been that good before that? They'll be like, oh, we need Madueke.
I think he's been decent. Like I don't think he's been
decent
bad.
For sure, but no better than Ziyech.
I'd say, you know what, with that in mind, I have Sterling on the left, Madueke on the right. Obviously, Ober up top. Fuck Havertz. And yeah,
we all know Havertz is going to start, bro. It's just it's so annoying, man.
Anyway, but
yeah.
To be honest, I reckon Aubameyang won't make the squad again this time. It's going to be Fofana on the bench.
That's the thing as well. Ober won't even be playing on Tuesday. Can we just
maybe he will make the bench then tomorrow? But yeah.
Could be Fofana
again. Like neither of them are going to be there for Tuesday. Play either. I don't care. Just no Havertz up top. This shit guy.
Yeah.
How funny would it be if Aubameyang saved Potter's job?
Oh man!
If he starts and he scores, I'm gonna be unbearable as fuck. I don't care if we win or lose.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, understandable. All right. This is what we have. Well, no, actually, I have been outvoted. So Aubameyang gets the sole striker spot. The other ones have been split. So therefore, I'm going to keep Mudryk and Sterling on, both sides. Well, Sterling on both sides with Madueke and Mudryk. But hey, here we are. My God, still miserable, isn't it? Still miserable. Don't have a right back. Don't know what the midfield's going to do. The centre backs, we don't fucking know what they're going to do. I don't really trust any of these forwards. For fuck's sake, man. What a miserable time. Boys, last one. Score predictions. Are we winning tomorrow? Yes.
Oh, boy.
3-1. Disappointing afternoon for the Blues.
3-1.
Leeds score 3 goals against us.
3.
Oh, my God.
Well, they did when Tuchel was in charge.
Again.
So.
Yeah, but we did have a
we scored this time.
And?
Imagine the Muffy Harding, man, when the 3rd goal goes in. Oh my days.
Boy. Those Leeds fans as well, they're just going to rub it in for 90 minutes. It's going to get so toxic so fast if we concede. Yeah. Well, look forward to tomorrow.
By the way, guys, we only got a red card against Leeds after 84 minutes. We were already 3-0 down at that point.
Huh?
We only got the red card against Leeds after 84 minutes and we're already 3-0 down at that point.
Oh, did we? Fair enough.
I think you were thinking about not Palace, but when Gallagher got sent off. I can't remember the game.
Leicester at home.
Leicester at home. Yeah, that was it. That's when we had the early red card. And we still won that one somehow.
God, Leicester were terrible back then as well.
Yeah,
they
were. But fair dues. Anyone got any more positivity coming than Lewis? Price?
Nope, unfortunately not. Well, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw, so I guess that's something, but that's still
a point. Probably... Come on, and the goal, unbelievable.
That won't save him. We've got to win, And the worst thing is that I feel like even if we win 2 or 3-0, people are going to be like, "Who cares?" That's the point it's got to now.
The only positive in a win tomorrow is a bit of confidence for Tuesday. That's all tomorrow matters for.
Yeah. But I'm going to go with 1-1. I think it'll be, probably 0-0 at half time and then see from there, really. But I don't know. Every time I look at our attack, I think, so much talent there. There's goals there. But when I see us play, I'm just like, oh, fuck. It's just clearly not You know, like I was actually positive last week against Spurs. That performance I saw, my God. And like I don't even take like the whole training quote seriously anymore because like, you know, Graham Potter said before that Spurs game, oh, the players are really up for it. Like, mate, that was like the most un-Chelsea like performance I've seen against Spurs in like ever since I started supporting Chelsea. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. So I don't really know if I can take his word for, you know, oh, we've had a good training week and all this. Like earlier in the press conference, he said, you know, we've suffered a lot this week and we're ready to give the fans like a performance they can be happy with. Like, bro, like you bloody better make sure of it because otherwise, like, you can't just say these things and then like pull out shit like that or you don't do anything when the team are playing bad. Like, yeah, so I'm going to be very interested to see if actually finally that comes to fruition because he keeps saying the training's so great, but what we see on the pitch is like, I'm thinking, what the fuck do they actually do in training, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of sports where that's actually a very common thing that the training goes well and then you struggle to replicate it into the actual competition. Not usually team sports like football, but it is a thing. But my God, how long is that a thing? Because you could be telling us anything. For all we know, they might not be able to control a single pass in training, and he could still tell us that, and we don't know what's true. Damesh, score prediction. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's really hard to be positive. Like, given before Southampton, I was so confident we'd slap them up, man. But after that, I just lost all confidence in this team. So, gonna go for a 2-1 Leeds win. Unfortunately, yeah, I've always backed us to win, but I'm just trying to put some negative like energy towards us so that we actually win the game tomorrow. So, yeah, and I said to you as well, Laurenz, before, like. Every time I come with your preview, bro, we haven't won a game, man. I'm on a losing streak, man. So
we better win tomorrow. Otherwise, we gotta dish out some preview plans here because what is this? Not acceptable behavior.
Hey,
I remember when we
jinx.
had Aaron on the first
reverse
few times.
jinx. There you go.
He
Yeah.
won every time. And he
You know-
got the score prediction right every time. What is this? Do you know what I mean?
I got a reverse for that. So the only game I've not been to at home and watched on stream this season, we won against Wolves 3-0. So I'm not going tomorrow, and I'm watching on stream. So we're gonna win. There we
Good
go.
lad. Good lad.
Come
There's
on.
the
All right.
positive.
My score prediction then 3-0 because Pice is watching on stream. Come on, Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm going to back it. Why not? Do you know what I mean? Even if it's naive optimism, better naive optimism than depressing negativity. Yeah. But yeah, what else can we say? Let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see if Potter survives tomorrow. I would be so baffled if Potter gets sacked after tomorrow and then what the fuck happens Tuesday, man? Like,
I'm interested to see who our penalty taker is, by the way, because we haven't had a penalty since Jorginho's left. So that's another thing. I'm kind of hope we get a penalty just to see who be on penalties. To be honest,
We've got to get into the box for that, bro. You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking hell,
exactly. No, we could have had a penalty last week. Like it was a soft call for Sterling, but I've seen it given. There was contact. Yeah, he gone down easy, but certainly seen it given. Last question, actually, which I just remembered. If this is the team, who are you picking as captain? And I'll start with you,
Kepa.
Liz.
Kepa. I'll go
Kepa,
Kepa.
yeah. Damesh, who would you pick?
Yeah, Kepa as well.
And Pice?
Yeah, I think it would be Kepa because he's actually been captain, I think, a few times under Lampard, wasn't he?
Was he?
So, yeah,
I
I
don't
think
remember
I think so. In like some of those cup games we had, I
Was
think
it
he was
Mason Mount who was captain?
Mount was captain in Lampard's last game, but that was the only time.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think I agree, Kepa. Unless Kovacic starts, then it's Kovacic.
Could be Koulibaly, maybe. They wouldn't surprise me if he's captain.
I hate it when you give captaincy to players that haven't been here for long. I know we did it with Thiago Silva on the off day. Wasn't he captain actually when we drew 3-3 at West Brom? And he obviously had the howler. But I'd pick Kepa if it's those. If Kovacic starts, I wouldn't be upset if it's cover, but I wouldn't give it to players that have turned up within less than the last 12 months.
But I actually think saying on that, I think if he starts, the most likely captain is probably Sterling, to be honest.
But why though? He's not even been
He's
here.
captain City before, hasn't
Been
he?
injured for the whole
Because
time.
because he's like the older, experienced guy. So I feel like that's who they'll give it to. But who knows?
Well, with that logic, you might as well. I mean, Aubameyang won't start, but if he did, then he's the oldest one. But Oh, Koulibaly's older than Sterling as well. So if we are basing it off age,
We should probably just give it to someone who's playing really shit and then just like hope that motivates them.
I'll give it to Havertz, man.
Oh fucking hell! I can see it.
imagine the fan base if Havertz gets the captain's armband, man.
Bro,
Imagine
whole
walking
ABIs,
up to the liquidator, man. Oh my
That
days.
was-
Hey, Lewis will literally throw himself off the bridge.
That will signify where my football club is at.
There you go. As a collective with Big Kepper, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, please check out my wonderful guests down in the description. Lewis's channel, of course, Carefree Lewis G. Pice's website, we looked at it earlier. If you want to take an in-depth thread about what Alex, your expert, thinks who Chelsea could/should be replacing Graham Potter with, check out the article at chelseafc365.com. Link is down in the description, and please do follow Dharmesh on his Twitter, as you can see on screen as well. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Let's hope and pray for a win tomorrow. And we'll see you. Sorry. Next time.